important that you have to write your algorithm correctly. Okay. So is it like I write an algorithm and I have to implement it only in C programming? Is it like
No,
that?
ma'am. It can be
No,
implemented
ma'am.
in any language.
No, ma'am.
So an algorithm can be implemented in any programming language. Okay. Okay. It's universal. Okay. So it's a solution. That's why we are saying like we don't have anything related to the programming part in the algorithm. We just give the sequence of instructions. The logic is put, the blueprint is put. Okay. So we are not saying like, so that's what will be there in your blueprint that you make for building the house, right? So you give the blueprint, but wherein in the blueprint you will not mention like whether you will be using bricks or whether you will be using concrete blocks, or you won't be mentioning anything of that sort, or you won't be mentioning like whether for the walls you will be putting green color or red color. You don't mention that in the blueprint, right? Okay, or you don't mention like what is the wood that you will be using for the doors. No, you just say it is a door. There will be a door. How you're going to make the door and all that, we don't know. That's implementation. That implementation can be taken into any of the form. Like somebody list out the programming languages. Can somebody in the class list out programming?
C,
Yes.
Java,
C++,
C++, Python.
Python, Ruby.
Sometimes the scripting language is also called as programming languages, and one such language is Python. So C programming is a procedural oriented programming language. Okay, what does it mean by procedural oriented? Procedural oriented it means like where you say that there will be functions, procedures, and then you build the programs around the you write the program around the functions or procedures. In C programming, the data moves very freely. Like you can say there is no security for the data. But there is another kind of programming language which is called as an object-oriented programming language, wherein we say like we give more security to the data. Like the orientation is different. Okay, so wherein you will be having a class, then inside the class you will be binding together the data members and the member functions together, and you call it as encapsulation. Okay, so such kind of concepts are there. So each and every programming language that we see have got its own inclination, or you can say that it has got its own orientation. So let us take a look into what comprises, what is the syllabus in Python programming language.
So let us look into the syllabus now. So this is Python programming syllabus. The syllabus in the first unit will be looking into the basic concepts of the Python programming, where we'll see the features of Python. The features make a programming language. It's very important for us to understand the features, because the features discuss about what the language offers you. Okay, so you will be knowing what you can do with the programming language. This is a very important question for interviews, or it is an important question for university examinations. Okay, right. And later on we'll see comparison with C programming language, like what you can find in Python which don't exist in C programming. So there will be an elaborated comparison between C and Python. And then we'll see Python virtual machine. So then we'll see literals are something like the constants, and then we'll see the variables and identifiers. Then the data types, all these are the tokens of Python programming language, the data types, and then we'll see how to comment in Python. Then the reserved words are the keywords, then indentation, and then operators that Python have, and the input and output statements and type conversion. Okay, unit wherein we'll be going into the control statements. So introduction, selection, conditional branching statements. So you can just compare it with your C programming. You might have already known this. Okay, so if, else, and while, and for, and all that. So then so iterative statements, which are nothing but loops. Okay, Then we'll see how to nest a loop and then use of break and continue, and then pass statements, else statements used with loops. Okay, so all these concepts we'll see as the first part of the second unit. And in the second part of the second unit, we'll look into the concepts of data structure, strings we'll see, operations and methods. Then we'll see lists, accessing and updating values in lists, nested and cloning lists, basic list operations, list methods, list comprehensions, looping in lists, and tuples and sets and dictionaries and operations. Okay, this is the concepts. In the third unit, we'll see functions and modules. Okay, and the fourth unit will look into the classes and objects concept. This might be new to you because procedural paradigm, wherein this goes into the concept of object orientation. And fifth unit, we'll see the inheritance. These are the principles of the object oriented programming language, the abstraction, inheritance, encapsulation, and polymorphism. So we'll coming to the sixth unit. Sixth unit is all about error and exception handling. This is what I have talked in my introduction class, wherein I said like there are different kinds of errors. The first one is the runtime errors, and the second one is the syntax errors, and the third one is logical errors, and the fourth one is the linker errors. So wherein I have said like runtime errors. Okay, so runtime errors are the errors that will occur during the execution of a program, and these runtime errors can be in terms of when you attempt to do some wrong arithmetic operation like division by zero and all that. So our array index out of bounds exception, or all these kinds of exceptions are called as runtime errors, runtime exceptions. And what is the difficulty with this kind of runtime errors is that they actually abruptly stop the execution of the program. So you don't want your program to stop in the middle, right? So you can have some techniques. Okay, so you can use the programming exception handling techniques to actually even if in case of an exception that rises, you can actually still make your program run. Okay, so that's what you will be seeing in the last unit. Okay, so that's it. There are 6 units, and I hope I gave you a brief introduction to all the concepts that you'll be learning in this particular programming language. And the textbooks that are prescribed for you for the syllabus that I have discussed here is, there are many textbooks available, like you have many online materials, or you have got many resources. Tons of community support is available for Python. That's one of the reasons why it has become popular also. There are many literatures available on Python, and one of the textbooks that we have taken for your syllabus is Python Programming Using Programming Approach by Rima Thareja. Kind of textbooks, because you people are computer science and engineering students, it is always good that you have your own copy of programming languages textbooks, because you always need to refer them, right? Okay, so the thing that you do is, like, after BTech, what you'll do is you write code. Okay, so that's what you'll be doing. So it's always advised that you have your own copies. So the reference books are these. Okay, so which I have shown you on the screen. Okay, to the first unit, like in Rima Thareja textbook, like in which page number you can find these topics. So I have listed out all this over here. So features, you can find it in page number 83 and 88 and all that. So these are all the page numbers. Okay, so where you can widely use general purpose high level interpreted. So I'm just repeating it once again so that the students who have not joined yesterday can actually follow it. So we are saying widely used. Why we are saying it's widely used? Can somebody tell me?
Since it is high level, easy to learn.
No. I said widely used. We are saying it is widely used. Why we are saying it is widely used is because 32% more than 30% of the developers community uses Python for their applications, for developing their applications. Okay, and why we are saying it is general purpose is because it is used for developing any kinds of application. It's not like by using Python you can only develop a specific applications. It's not like that. It is used to develop any kind of variety of applications. And high level is because it's yeah, it's very close to the English programming language, so it's very easy for you to learn. Okay, so interpreted programming language wherein you don't need to compile it, you can directly execute the program line by line. Okay, so Python executes the code line by line. And object oriented programming language because it is inclined to the object oriented paradigm. Object oriented paradigm says that there will be a class, and inside the class you will be having the data and the data members. The methods inside the class will act upon the data that is there in the class. That is object oriented programming language, which follows the principles of object oriented programming language, which is inheritance and all that. Okay, right. Now Python is open source. Open source means what? So it is available. So I'll just discuss them in the features also. No, and also it is these are very important features, so I just listed out them. And it is platform independent. Okay, Python is platform independent. Is your C programming platform independent?
No, ma'am.
So it
No,
is
ma'am.
platform. It is platform. C programming is platform.
Dependent.
It is dependent. Okay, can somebody tell me what does it mean by platform dependent?
Okay, what you run in, you cannot, if you are making a program in Windows, అది మళ్ళీ మ్యాక్ కానీ వేరే దాంట్లో అలా రాదు కదా.
Okay, absolutely right. But okay, so I can understand. Good. So actually the thing is like you have a platform. Platform means that it's the combination of the hardware and software together. So there are many platforms, popular platforms like Intel and Windows. Okay, so you have Intel inside and you say Windows outside, right? So that's what is the combination, you call it as platform. So say you have written a code in Windows. If it is not platform independent, it doesn't run on Mac operating systems. Okay, so or it will not run in Linux, but it will run across the globe on all the machines that have Windows, but it will not run on other operating systems. That's what is the point. Okay, so it will run on the other systems which is having Windows. Now some people tell me like it will run only on the PC that I have written. No, right? Okay, so if you have written a code in Windows, it will run only on other computers which are having Windows. Okay, right? So that is what is called as platform dependency. And but coming to platform independent, it can run across the platforms. Okay, right. So that is platform independent, and Python is platform independent. So you got one difference between C programming and Python. Okay. And the second difference that we got so far is that C programming is procedure oriented and Python is object oriented. Okay, right. And it is a scripted language. Okay, Python is scripted language. And another difference that we got between C and Python is that, tell me?
C is not an interpreted language.
Yes, language, and Python is high level language. So we already have created in 1980s, but it has not received the popularity that it should receive in the old days. Now recently only it has catched up the momentum regarding what is Python. So let us see who is the creator of Python. So it is Guido van Rossum. So he is the man behind creator. He's the creator of Python, and he was born in 1956. Okay, so you can just take a look at him. Okay, and so let us look into a brief history of Python programming, where it has started off and who created it. As now we know that it's created by Guido van Rossum at Center for Mathematics and Computer Science in Netherlands. He's a Dutch scientist, mathematician, and in February, okay, so he implemented this Python in 1989. Okay, so that's why I said like it is younger than Java and all that. And in February 1991, like he published the code. Okay, so to ALT sources. And programming language has been derived from many languages such as ABC and Modular 3 and C also, and C++, Algol, and Smalltalk, Unix shell, and other scripting languages. So it has got some combination. Okay, so it has got some of the other concepts from the other programming languages. And in 1994, okay, Python 1.0 was released, and with certain features in it like lambda, map, filter, and reduce. And then then afterwards, like Python 2.0 added new features such as list comprehensions and garbage collection systems and all that. And in December 3, 2008, Python 3.0, also called as PY3K, was released. It was designed to rectify the fundamental flaw of the language. Okay, and the current versions, can somebody tell me what is the current version of Python? What is the current version of Python? So we know that Python 3.0 is there. Is Python 4 is there? Is Python 4 is there? No, it is not yet released. Okay, so we are still in Python 3 only. And what is the current version of Python?
3.8. 3.7.
3.7. Yeah, it's 3.7. Okay, so it's 3 points. Look into the applications of Python, where it can be applied. So Python can be applied in web-based applications, and they're also used in desktop applications, graphic design, scientific and numeric applications, computational approach, and game development, artificial intelligence, machine learning, software development, enterprise level, and business applications and language development. Okay, so web-based applications. So you can see like Python programming language is very versatile. Okay, so it's not like confined to only one area of application. It can be used for any kind of application, be it a gaming application or be it web-based applications. So web-based applications are applications like your banking system. Okay, so your online banking, all those are web-based applications, and desktop applications are your notepad, your paint, all those are the desktop applications. Okay, and also they are used in now Python has taken the momentum because of machine learning algorithms, and it can also be used for businesses and all that. Okay, so anyway, in the next slides I'll show you what are the companies that use Python or in their applications. Okay, so these are all the applications of Python. Into the companies that uses Python as of today. Okay, so as of current date, the first company that uses Python is Netflix. Okay, so I hope everybody now, because the OTT platform has become very popular because of COVID. Everybody at home is preferring to stay at home and watch movies rather than going to the theaters. So we generally prefer these OTT platforms, and one such OTT platform is Netflix. So you need to be a subscriber of Netflix, and what it does is it actually shows you movies recommendations, and you can actually play a movie to reinforce the security of the system, analyze alerts and data reports. Okay, for all those purposes, Netflix uses Python. And Netflix also relies on Python to reinforce machine learning capabilities that analyze movies, optimize streaming, and to pull out images to display thumbnails. And also, not only that, this machine learning algorithms, it uses Python for reinforcing machine learning capabilities. That means that if you have watched, for example, you have watched a horror movie, okay, in Netflix, what does it do is it will actually show you recommendations which are horror movies. Okay, so the genre of the movies are picked by the number of similar kind of genres that you have watched. Say for 2 or 3 days you have watched only the comedy kind of movies, then what it will do is on the fourth day it will start recommending you the comedy movies. Okay, so for doing all that, Netflix uses Python, and Netflix uses Python libraries like NumPy and SciPy to perform numerical analysis. Okay, so these are the libraries that are available in Python, and Netflix uses them to actually to perform the numerical analysis. So next company that uses Python is Google. Okay, so Google uses the entire stack, and the first search language which was written in Google was in Python. Okay, so Google also uses Python. And the other companies that uses Python are Dropbox. Dropbox is file hosting. It's a cloud wherein you can host your files. And so Dropbox entire stack was written in Python. Okay, so all the development of Dropbox is written in Python. And next is Instagram. So Instagram migrated to Python 3 and now is using it at full scale, relying on Django. You can also say it as Django. Okay, Python architecture. You can also say it as Django, or you can also say it as Django. It's a framework actually. Okay, so Django is a framework which is used for web development. Okay, so it's a backend, so wherein you can use it for web development. And Instagram, Stripe is a fintech startup. It's a business which allows businesses to accept payments over the web. Okay, so even that company uses Python. So it has used Python to develop APIs, application programming interface. API stands for that. That can be integrated into websites and mobile applications. Okay, and the next company is Spotify. Spotify is a music on demand to the users, and the Spotify uses Python extensively for analyzing data and on the app's backend. And these are some of the companies that uses Python, to name a few, and some of the popular companies that uses Python. To list, there are many other companies which uses Python, but I have just picked some very popular ones so that you will be knowing them. Okay, so these are the companies that uses Python. And coming to the first unit, so with this introduction of Python, so what did we see so far? So we have seen the history of Python. We have seen who is the developer of Python and who is the creator of Python. And we have seen who is the creator of C programming language.
Dennis Ritchie.
Dennis Ritchie. Okay, so who is the creator of Python?
Guido van Rossum.
Who is the, who is the Gosling. Okay, so Python programming, so there are many features, like you can see the features are making the language very popular and very strong. Okay, question, girls, so I think all of you need to be to learn this, because this is the question. You can expect this in the university examination, in the end examination, as well as for your internals. Okay, right. The first one is simple, the second one is easy to learn, and the third one is, fourth one is free and open source, and the fifth one is high level language. Okay, so sixth is interactive, seventh is portable, eighth is object oriented, ninth is interpreted, 10 is dynamic, 11 is extensible, 12 is embeddable, and 13 is extensive libraries are there. So we have seen two libraries like NumPy and SciPy. Okay, so extensive libraries are available in Python, which makes your application development much faster and easy maintenance and secure. So it is robust and multi-threaded and garbage. Okay, so so in Python. So these are all the features that are available in Python. And we look at okay, so what does it mean by simple? Okay, so let us look into the first feature. So the first feature is simple. Okay, so Python is powerful, as I already told you, and it's simple and it's a small language. So why we are calling it as simple is because So if you just read the code of Python, it will be just like an English text that you're reading. So it is very well understood. Okay, so if somebody have written half code and you just wanted to continue from that half code, it will be very easy for you to understand. Okay, so it won't take much time for you to understand what the other person has written. So it will be it is very close to the human readable kind of text. Okay, so that's why like writing programs and learning it also is very fast. And this allows programmers to concentrate on the solution to the program rather than the language. Okay, so what happens generally is when the program is very and when a program is having lot of rules, okay, so much of protocols or so much of rules, then what happens is the programmers need to be very careful whether his mind will be half occupied, whether he is actually writing the syntax properly or not, or and that. But when the programming language is very simple for you and you don't need to bother about the syntaxes and all that, so you can concentrate much better on the logic rather than thinking of whether I might do a syntax error or whether I might not follow the rules. Okay, so that's what is called a simple feature. Rules like your C programming and all that. Okay, fine. And the next feature is easy to learn. Okay, so Python program is clearly defined and easily readable. Structure of the program is simple, and why it is easy to learn is because it uses few keywords and clearly defined syntax. There will be a very clearly defined syntax, and learning is easy. Now, can somebody in the class tell me why English is your why not Telugu? Why did people make English as an international language? That's my question. Why do you think English was made? Huh?
It might be easier than other languages.
There are many other languages, right? There are many other languages, but why do you think like they made English the international language? There is a reason for why they made English as the international language. Okay, so the reason is that because if you just look into the alphabet, okay, so the letters in the alphabet are 26. Okay, so English has got only and only 26 letters in it, wherein any other language that you consider across the globe have got more than 26 letters in their alphabet. Okay, so that is the reason why English was chosen as the international language, because everybody can learn, because there are only few letters in English to be learned. So any sentence you write only using those 26 letters. Okay, so it is giving you that analogy to understand why Python is easy to learn. Okay, so because Python has got few keywords compared to the other programming languages, the keywords that Python has got is less. Okay, right. And the third feature is versatile. And versatile means like what I have told you, the applications that Python can develop, starting from web applications to gaming applications and to scientific ones and all that. Okay, so so the desktop applications and all that. So Python is not confined to one particular area of for applications. So you can develop any kinds of applications, say it a web-based application or the desktop or the gaming applications or anything you can develop using Python. That's why you say that Python is versatile programming language. Okay, so with this I'll stop my lecture. So I'll continue the features in the next class. I hope everybody understood what I have taught you today.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay. Yes. Okay. So